I meant to make notes for this video, but my pen ran dry, so I feel like that's the universe telling me to just wing it. Just start talking and see what I get. So that's one thing I learned in my life that, and you maybe have too, is it's the hardest thing to do is to start. And once you start, it doesn't seem as bad as you made it in your mind. We always make things bigger in our mind than they end up being. So I want to talk a little bit about my story, which I've always found it difficult to really share much about myself, about my history, about things that have happened to me, because first of all, I feel like nobody really wants to hear it, and second of all, I don't necessarily like dwelling on things that, or haven't liked to. I've been very good at suppressing things that have happened in my life so that I don't have to deal with them. But what that does is that just bottles it all up inside, and even though I'm not thinking about them, I'm dealing with them, and they are having an effect on my life. And not necessarily, especially the things, the traumas and things that have happened, not necessarily a positive effect because I haven't dealt with them, and I'm still dealing with them. I just recently started dealing with them, and it's hard, and it feels uncomfortable, but it also feels good to let yourself feel those powerful emotions. One of the most powerful emotions that I've felt recently, one of the things that I've been dealing with is the loss of my mother. And it's not something that I've talked with very many people about, because when I tell somebody that I lost my mother when I was 1 year old, just a little baby, and I don't remember it because I was one, and they say, oh, I'm sorry. And I say, oh, well, I didn't even feel it. I don't even think about it, because I didn't think about it, and I didn't feel it. I didn't let myself feel it. And I've just recently, looking at my young children and with their mother, I think it's allowed me to think about myself as a little baby losing his mother, and that it did have a huge effect on my life, and then it did suck, and it was painful, and it is painful, and it altered my life forever. And I've cried about it for the first time in whatever, I'm 40 years old, and 30 years or something. I have a few. So my mother collapsed when I was 1. They're not really sure what happened, but she collapsed, and they weren't able to get oxygen to her soon enough. They tried, but she suffered brain damage, and she lived. But she lived in a kind of a nursing home for 8 years, and then passed. And so she was alive, but she wasn't there. She couldn't talk. She didn't know. I saw her a few times in my life, and it was really scary because I was little, and I didn't know. I thought I would get excited. She lived in a nursing home that was a few hours away from where we had moved to, and I would go see her. I remember one time specifically going to see her, and I got all excited because I'm going to go see my mom. And I think I was probably 5 at the time, and I made colorings, and I can't remember what I did, but it was some kind of a drawing for her. And I went in there, and she was just in this room, this hospital or nursing home room, and she was laying in bed. She just had this blank stare. Her eyes were open. She had this blank stare. And she was just maybe moving around a little bit. And I just instantly felt this fear and just this really strong, in tears, I just opened up into tears, and because I wanted to meet my mother, and that wasn't my mother, and I left. We just kind of, my dad and I just instantly left the room because I was so upset, and that was the meeting that I remember, meeting my mother before she died. And I always felt bad about that growing up. I always felt like maybe I made her experience, if she was there, her experience in the nursing home for those 3 or so more years that she lived worse, because her son came in and was almost afraid of her or scared of her, and because I was scared, and I didn't know how to handle it, and so it's taken some time for me to come to terms with that and realize that I was just a little boy, and that is a scary thing. And she's okay, and she, I think about it, if I was laying there and my son came into me and had that reaction, all that I would care about is him. It wouldn't, I wouldn't feel bad. I just would love him, and I would be grateful that he's doing well, and so it's helped me having children to reframe that memory and to forgive myself for being a kid and being scared and really feeling, I can't explain it, but I have such a strong emotion when I think about my mother. Even though I don't have really any memories other than that of, I don't have memories of her holding me or nursing me, but I know she did do that for the first year of my life. And I see my sons with, like I said, with their mom, and I see how powerful a relationship they have, and how loving of a relationship they have. And my mom loved me and still loves me, and I still love her. And so I share that memory to encourage others that have some trauma that happened to them when they were a child or in their life. I encourage you, even though it's uncomfortable and it's scary, to think about it, to turn toward it, and to let yourself feel the emotions, feel the grief, to grieve, to be easy on yourself, to forgive yourself, to forgive the others involved, and to really to come to terms with it. And if you start, it's a process. It's not something that'll happen. I don't think it didn't happen for me instantly. I'm still thinking about it and dealing with it. But when I started allowing myself to feel it it's I feel so much better about it now, and so I encourage you to do that.